Hey, welcome to What You Gotta Say. I'm your host, Vincent Squire, and today it's Freestyle Friday. And this is probably one of my better days of the week, especially because of my co host today. I've got the comedian Sandy Hackett, and we're going to discuss some really important issues. When we're going to do that right after this break. So get a snack. I'll see you all in 2 minutes, 2 seconds.
Your small business struggled through the pandemic to stay afloat. You need more exposure. Radio and printed ads are good for pet liners. Television commercials are overpriced. Social media ads start cheap, end up expenses. You need an ad team that can get you multimedia exposure. You need MyTV. MyTV will develop a commercial tailored to your business. To get your maximum sales, contact sales@theratemytv.church.
And welcome back. Let me introduce to you one of my favorite co hosts in all of these shows. Ladies and gentlemen, give your love for comedian Sandy Hackett. Sandy!
Hello, Vincent. Thank you very much. How can I be your favorite? This is only the second show I've been on.
That's still my favorite.
You're kind.
Yes, but there's a whole different reason for that. But
looking at you went gray, and I just unbeknownst to me, I went gray.
Oh, okay. See, that proves that God has a sense of humor.
A lot of things prove God's have a sense of humor.
Yeah, no. We should discuss some of the people at these COVID lines. But anyway, so Freestyle Friday. Standy, you're a comedian.
I'd like to think of myself as that, yes.
Okay. How long have you been doing comedy? Because the last time you were on the show, we didn't get a chance to really, talk about you. So how long have you been doing comedy?
I'm 65. I had my first appearance on Rona Martin's Laugh-In when I was 11.
Wow.
I can't say I was a comedian. I was hanging out with my father, comedian Buddy Hackett, and they were arguing over a joke. They didn't know if it was funny. The producers, a group of executives from the show with Dan and Dick and my dad, it's funny, let's do it. We're not going to do it. It's not funny. It doesn't work. We should do it. Just trust me. It'll be fine. And I was sitting over on the side. I'm 11 years old. And I said, I'm just a kid, but I thought it was funny. And like 12 heads turned at me and said, perfect, let's use it. And I had no idea what had happened. I thought I was in trouble. And my dad walked over to me. He says, you want to be on television? I said, okay, what do I have to do? He says, you're just going to say the same thing. And they sat me on a chair, and it ended up, the bit was they told the joke, and then Richard Nixon came out, was that funny? And I'm just a kid, but I thought it was funny. And back to Nixon, I thought so. And that's what helped get Nixon elected president. So thank you very much. I put a guy in the White House you can thank me, who deleted 18 minutes of tape. And I did that at 11. So, what have I done since then? Nothing.
Wow. So nothing. That's not true.
Are you old enough to remember Rona Martin's laughing?
Oh, of course I am. What do you? Oh,
Here come the judge. Here come the judge.
Yes. And it's sock it to me time.
That's right. All that good stuff.
Oh, yeah. Also, what? My favorite go-go dancer in the world, Goldie Hawn.
Goldie Hawn, and the next season, after I did that first season, that first little bit, the next season, my dad was the guest star again, and they invited me back, and then they wrote a bunch of stuff for me. And one of the things I did was with Goldie Hawn, I was dressed in like my bar mitzvah clothes with the tallis and the yarmulke and the prayer book, and I'm sitting there and reading the prayer book, and Goldie goes, doing the go-go thing as she walks by, and my head goes, now that's what I call a bar mitzvah present.
I was thinking the same thing. The only problem was that, my parents were like really strict. So and my father had to see Roland and Martin laughing. And I couldn't see it until I turned 13. So as soon as it came on, I had to go to bed. But I actually listened to all of the shticks by hanging out by the stairwell, because this was back when most Americans only had one TV.
That's right. One TV, and you were the remote control.
Oh yeah, you were the remote control, and you were the signal finder with the rabbit ear antennas.
That's right.
Yeah.
Vincent, go see what's on the other channels.
Look, when the Super Bowl came on, I never left the television. My father just kept me there and going, a little to the left, a little to the left.
Well, thank goodness it's gotten better.
Yes. Now we have streaming television where, you don't get any reception. Pay your streaming bill, okay? pay your Wi-Fi.
That's right.
But okay, so we've had a busy news week. First of all, Ukraine seems to be turning the tides a little bit, slightly on the Russians.
Well, go ahead.
Well, they attacked, or there was a bomb, an air raid on a Russian oil refinery.
Just saw that on the news, and honestly, I'm just amazed for the Russians to come out and say, we've been attacked by Ukraine. And they go, oh, really? What a surprise. Honestly, if they knew where to find Putin, I'm sure they'd want to go blow him up. And I can't blame them. But, look, everybody's watching the same news. It's the worst soap opera we've ever seen, with watching 3.5-4 million people being displaced that are out of the country, all the millions and millions of people that, plus the thousands that have been killed, and even the Russian soldiers that don't even know why they're there, that have been killed. And, they're going to get shipped home in body bags to parents that think that they were at a real reason, and they lost their sons for no reason whatsoever. Just some greedy bastard wanted more land.
Yeah, he wanted to actually raid the natural resources of that country because it was no longer Russian. And of course, he's got his glorious plan of unification of what was once Russian territory.
Well, he's failing miserably. And, for those of us watching all the news, and I'm sure you're like me, I changed, from channel to channel to channel, trying to see if anybody has anything new. And some of it's speculation about, is Putin healthy? Is he getting sick? Are the people around him going to kill him or take him out? Or who knows? But we're just in a situation where this thing is unfolding, and and I got to tell you, the Ukraine has surprised the majority of everybody, starting with Putin, thinking they would fall in 3 or 4 days. and they're still there. And now they're repelling the forces and capturing Russian equipment. But again, it's hard as we watch this to be mad at the Russian people because they got sucked into this and didn't even know. It's Putin.
Exactly. As President Biden said to the people of Russia, you are not our enemies.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
And a lot of them have family in the Ukraine. This is terrible.
Right. Exactly. So, all right. Now, there are some conspiracy theorists saying that two things. First, it could have been Putin who blew up the refinery to blame Ukraine running a false flag operation, because nobody is saying anything or actually publicly saying, yeah, I did this. And the other conspiracy theory is that the location of it could be American backed or NATO backed launching missiles.
Well, I like the theory of that the Russians blew it, that Putin blew it up. And I'm going to say, just to prove that it wasn't you, go blow up yourself. then try to purport that theory on us, that it was the Russians that what do you call in the theory? I blanked for a second, but
false flag.
Yeah, but let Putin blow himself up and then false flag himself.
Yeah, that's right, Putin. Put a stick of dynamite up your behind and light the fuse. There you go.
That's right. Oh, training Putin.
Literally. Yeah.
Putin keeps falling on my head.
I'm sure that'll motivate every Russian citizen to go and fight against Ukraine.
And if he does get taken out by his own people or by a situation, or somehow the Ukrainians can find him and dispose of him, then the truth can come out to the Russian people, and we can remove the sanctions and go, hey, let's be friends. We just we have nothing against you. This wasn't you. You got dragged into something and lost so far, and the numbers are, we don't know, but 15,000 young Russian men have been killed, maybe less, maybe more. We don't know, but we know there's thousands.
He doesn't care. Most of those men he dragged out of his jail.
And well, really? Out of his jail?
Yeah.
But out of his jail as criminals or dissidents that didn't agree with him?
Both. Emptied his prison system, put a uniform on him, and point him towards Ukraine. Why do you think there's so many of them just defecting? They're like, we're free? You think we're fighting? We fought against him.
I think they're defecting because they don't know why they're there. They're told, oh, we're going to denazify this country. Then they start talking to the Ukrainians and they go, we're fine. Well, no, we're here to free the Russian speakers. We speak Russian and there's no problems here. But why are you here? We're good.
Well, let's face it. There are Nazis in Ukraine.
Where are the Nazis?
Let's look at it. Look at history. During the World War, okay, and Hitler's regime, when the Jews were trying to exit Europe, when they went to Ukraine, the Ukrainians held them there and for the Nazis to come and get them. That you look, there are like, in fact, that was one of the first places that he bombed. It was like the burial site of the Holocaust.
Yeah, but
the Nazis came in there after they held them, machine gunned them all down, and just dug a trench and put them in.
Hey, that's no doubt about it. But and maybe look, I think there's still Nazis everywhere. We certainly have white supremacist and Nazi followers or subscribers here in the U.S., but that is not the bulk of Ukraine. That's not even a large minority position. It's a tiny little position. And look, I got to tell you, as a comedian and as a Jew, I couldn't be prouder of Zelensky.
True. Standing up to the Russian power he has incredible or impeccable poise. his speech to Congress was absolutely brilliant. I mean, brilliant. And he gets on there every day and motivate them to fight. And they're winning. They're starting to show signs that, you know what, they're not making it easy for the Russians. And right now, well, one, Russians can't seem to get enough food for their troops. Two, they're stalled because, you know what, they've blown up everything and they don't have a ground attack. Three, they never planned. They thought that Ukraine was just going to roll over and take it. And now they're getting their butt they're starting to hand it to them.
Absolutely. And look, he's got one of the great quotes of all time that will go down in history. I don't need a ride. I need ammunition.
There you go.
That's going to, that will exist in history forever as one of the great leaders and one of the great quotes about a guy that stayed and fought and led his people to victory.
There you go. I'm hoping at the end of this. Now, I've said this on previous shows when this started. What Ukraine needs to do is now take an offensive stance and just push forward until they reach the Kremlin and execute Putin, or pay somebody $25 million, American, okay, to just take him out. Bottom line, you want to end this war, that's what needs to be done. And I believe once Putin is out of the picture, a lot of Russians or the Russian reform will actually start to take place. I am sick and tired of these charismatic dictators that cause a great deal of destruction and atrocities on on everyone's life.
I'm with you.
Okay, let's move on. Jared Kushner sat before the January 6th Commission.
Yes, he did.
And started telling. So this is one of the top men in Trump's inner circle, and he's giving up the tapes. I guess Jared Kushner learned from his experience what it takes to deal with the feds from his father.
Boy, I look forward to the day they release those transcripts, or we get to see, I don't know if they're videotaping it. We don't get to hear exactly what he said. We just know we don't get to hear anything he said. We just know he was there for 6 or 7 hours. But he also was there under the pretense of that he wasn't, in January 6th, he was flying from the Mideast home. So he wasn't there for whatever it was. So, he's as high up as they've gone with someone. But I bet he gave him some information that's usable.
Of course. I mean, even the people who didn't give information, in terms of the federal investigation, it's very thorough. And they investigate everybody and back check everything. So, I mean, they pretty much know the answers to the questions that they're asking. But you look at some of the higher ups in Trump organization, all of them are saying, I'm going to take it, but I'm going to plead the fifth. Or they just say, look, I'm not even showing up, which they cannot seem to get. And now we know why. We can't not get the courts to issue out a contempt order. I mean, look, I get a contempt order if I miss a traffic hearing. Yet these guys are ordered by Congress, and they're going to sit back there and say, I'm not showing up? Really?
Exactly. But the process is a little different with the January 6th Commission. As you know, the commission has to decide to vote on contempt, and they put it to the House. Then the House sends it to the Justice Department to act on. And things seem to be heating up. This Peter Navarro, who, just says, I'm not going to testify. And the executive privilege, you have no executive privilege. No court has given executive privilege to any of you people that are trying to pretend you have this. You don't have it. And, look, once the first domino falls, which seems like it's going to be, what's his name, Bannon, the rest are all going to fall. And the truth is coming out. We're learning more and more as the truth comes out with texts and emails and phone calls and missing stuff, and eventually all this stuff's going to be found and let us know what a scumbag our former president was.
Now, 45 ran his campaign against Hillary Clinton saying lock her up, and she was corrupt because of the hard drive incident. But he's got everything. They're not giving it up. He's fighting against everything. What he didn't destroy that they have in the Library of Congress, he's now fighting it, its admission or being admitted as evidence, citing quote unquote presidential privilege.
Right, but that's being taken away from him by the courts.
Yes.
There is no executive privilege.
Well, how can you get executive privilege when you're not the executor?
Executive, yes, you cannot.
Okay. All right. So I'm waiting to see. You know what? I think that orange jumpsuit would match his orange hair very well.
I'd love to see it.
Me too. Okay. So Joe Biden is in the midst of everything that's going on. Looks like he's doing a good job. Hey, call him back. Tell him you're on the show.
I did.
Okay. It looks like Joe Biden's doing a good job.
I think so. And I'm amazed that his poll ratings are down, or that people think he's not doing a good job, or they want to blame, gas has never been higher. Inflation is running away. I go, there's a war going on. This is to be expected. But, and do you have children? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you want your children over fighting a war in Ukraine? I don't. I don't want my son over there. I don't want my daughter over there. At the moment, they're taking sons, but I don't want my daughter fighting. So if we send, all kinds of arms and aid, and it costs us a few more dollars in gas, yeah, does it hurt? Yeah, but it doesn't hurt as much as sending my kid over there and wondering if he's alive.
Well, the bulk of the people, I'm not saying all of them, but the bulk of the people that are saying that Americans need to get involved with this, the majority of them don't have skin in the game. They don't have that much family in the military, or a 6th degree of noticing it. And the people who are these people that are giving Joe Biden a low approval rating? I mean, really?
I don't know why they're giving him a low approval rating. What do they expect? What has any president done different in time of war? He's managed to keep us out of. They were mad at him for getting us out of Afghanistan, and now they want to be mad at him for not getting us into Ukraine. And you go, look, we're giving all kinds of aid, we're giving money, and that costs money, and it's going to cost us money in one form or another. But Putin, if he had a choice, would have walked into Ukraine, taken it all, and then start attacking all the little NATO countries nearby, or the ones that weren't NATO, and taken them, and then he would have advanced into the next thing and just used that as a staging place. But unlike many dictators, he overextended himself and had a high value of where he was at, and it was very misguided.
Overestimated the strength of his troops or the knowledge of his generals, and basically thought that, the fear of the Russian army would make everybody just give him whatever he wants, or the fear of he's got more nukes than anybody in the world would make everybody just roll over and play with it.
Well, the whole nuke thing is just so preposterous, because we all know the first nuke that's fired, that's the end of the world. Everybody starts firing them, and no one's going to leave theirs. Oh, I think I'll just leave mine in the silo. They're all going to fire them, and we're going to wipe out the planet. And we'll go, oh, see, mine was bigger. I had more. And meanwhile, we've all destroyed everything. So we can't do that.
Right. Well,
unless the guy's absolutely insane, which we pray that he's not, because then we're all gone.
Right. Well, the doomsday theory is a no-win scenario. I mean, nobody.
Exactly.
Wins. Yeah. I mean, either because we're going to lose all plant life and vegetation by dealing with 2 to 4 year, nuclear cloud blocking the sun. You're looking at radiation poison. The only people who actually win in that are people who are in direct contact in the area in which that nuke hits, who are immediately eviscerated.
Right. And they don't have to deal with it, but the rest are going to suffer long, painful deaths, and nuclear winter and all that stuff. It's just god awful to think about.
Correct. So because of that scenario, Putin has been pretty much, really holding a missile to everybody's head. Like, don't mess with me. I got the missiles.
Right. What we want from the Russian army is we want them to be Russian to go home.
And on that note, we're going to take a break. I'm Vincent Squire, and I'm here with comedian Sandy Hackett. We'll be right back in a minute.
Your small business struggled through the pandemic to stay afloat. You need more exposure. Radio and printed ads are good for pet liners. Television commercials are overpriced. Social media ads start cheap, end up expenses. You need an ad team that can get you multimedia exposure. You need MyTV. MyTV will develop a commercial tailored to your business. To get your maximum sales, contact sales@theratemytv.church.
Here's the thing, in looking at this, the only thing that they actually have on Biden is the same bullcrap that they started before. Now now there's more investigation in Hunter Biden. Can't they leave that poor man alone? I mean, is he the only thing or the only stain or the only thorn that they can stick in Biden's side? I mean, let's look at it right now. There are now 131,000 new jobs that went up. Unemployment is at a low since Obama. You're looking at a few things that are not in his control. He was not responsible for. Yet everybody is, or the Republican machine right now is trying to throw all of it at him like he's supposed to be flypaper.
Look, I don't know what the truth is about Hunter because there's been so much stuff out there. And maybe he did something he wasn't supposed to do. I don't know. I leave that open to the remote possibility that maybe he was out of bounds a little bit. But the information that we've gotten is so convoluted that we don't know. And as an American and as someone in this system and wanting Trump to pay for his transgressions and all the people, if Hunter Biden did something not right, then it should be found and adjudicated and dealt with. But just throwing stuff at that and pretending like Trump didn't do anything, Meadows didn't do anything, all these Republicans didn't do anything, Steve Bannon and all Navarro and Scavino, you go, okay, so yeah, let's right now it's a smokescreen. Let's talk about Hunter Biden because I don't want to tell you about what I did and I don't want to answer for my crimes. But Joe is, look, the difference between Joe and 45 is Joe's for the American people, whether or not you like him or not. He's still not there doing things for himself. He's doing things that he believes in his heart are best for the American people and our country and our nation. And Trump never, ever did anything that he felt was better for anybody else but himself first.
Yeah, and then he cut in his friends. Definitely, I agree with that. So, COVID, hospitalization is down to a brand new low.
Thank goodness. And yet there's still this other B12 variant of Omicron that we don't know. So, and is that a transition variant? Is COVID transitioning from, it found its way to make itself easier to get, more, what's the word?
Easier to get, but less deadly.
Right. So
more contagious, yet just
more contagious. Thank you. So it's more contagious, but less deadly. But is it looking to find itself to be more contagious and more deadly, Or is it winding down? We don't know. Even the experts don't know. We're pulling back on masks. We're pulling back on vaccines, although they're saying to us, you should get a fourth vaccine. And to the people that go, oh, the government wants to give me a fourth. You know what? You don't want it, don't get it. And if you get it and you suffer a minor cold because of it, then that's fine. And if you died, then you had an opportunity to get a vaccine, and that was your choice.
And you have nobody to blame but yourself. You can't blame Biden. You can't blame the government. And you know what else I love about Biden? Not the fact that he loves America and wants to do something. Not the fact that when all of his years in the Senate, he was still the poorest senator ever. So he's not taking any backdoor money or as they call it, black money, which I really take offense to. But he generally is doing something. He's not getting on the air lying, talking about the disease is a Democratic ploy, it's not real. Or he's not getting up talking about it's going away. He's not talking.
That's a pretty decent impression.
Oh, thank you. I've been working on it. But he's not there talking about, I don't know that woman who said I had sex with her. She's a porn star? Really? Come on. He's not there. He's not there lying on stuff. He's not sitting up here. We got the best intelligence agency in the world, and he's going to say that that's fake news. Come on, Biden's doing none of that. He's doing everything possible. Even now, 100 million barrels of oil a day for the next 7 months. Come on, what president has ever done so much?
Well, I don't want to compare presidents in that way. Franklin Roosevelt got us through World War II. In many ways, Harry Truman was saddled with the task of dropping the first nuclear bomb. And, when you wipe out that many people, how do you sleep with yourself except to say, look, by dropping it, it took a lot of lives, but it saved a lot of lives, and it saved a lot of American lives. So, the fact that we can't get along as a nation, as a world, is tragic. And people have to make decisions. And being president, there are no easy decisions. But I know, and I'm for all the people I know that were, suffered through 45. I mean, there were sleepless nights when you go, he said what? He did what? He think that's okay to do that? I have a daughter. I don't want some leader of our country walking around saying you can grab them by it's just not right. It's wrong. And for the people that go, oh, but he's a good president. No, he's not a good president. He's not a good human being. How could he be a good president?
Yes. I don't think that history is going to reflect kindly on 45. But here is something that history is reflecting upon. Lindsey Graham did an about face. He's showing his true Republican colors. Now,
you got me there because I didn't know he spun around so many times. I'm surprised he's fully erect. He should be screwed into the ground somewhere for all the turning he's done.
Wait a minute. January 6th, after that, he got up there. He said, I hated myself, and I'm so glad that this relationship with Trump is over. I can't stand the way I was. Now he's back in being a trumpeter. So,
and let's go to his position on Ketanji Brown Jackson.
Yes.
She is such a benevolent, sweet woman, and definitively, when you look for someone qualified to be a Supreme Court justice, if you saw her resume, you'd go, well, here's a justice. Here's the perfect candidate. Exactly what we're looking for in a justice. And to see Lindsey, who voted for her a year ago, now I can't vote for her. I mean, it's heinous.
I can't vote for. Well, here's the thing. Watching the hearings, I was angry yet impressed. I was angry at what they were doing because what they wanted to do was show America an angry black woman. So they just kept needling her and pushing the issue. but I was impressed with her composure. Not the simple fact that she's qualified, overly qualified. She's got more qualifications than 80% of the people on the bench. Not the fact that, but they approved the guy who the woman came out and said, rape me. They approved the guy who, who was a Me Too moment.
You know what's fascinating about that is that Brett Kavanaugh, he said never happened, didn't do it, and now you see these stories about, oh, she recanted and stuff like that. But in the case of any justice, you go, so you look for a candidate, there's nothing like that, whether it's true or not true. So there's nobody that came forward about Judge Jackson and said anything negative about her. They just tried to throw stuff at her. Oh, you think child pornography is no, she never said that. She never intimated that in any way. And in fact, she threw it right back on him, as you know. She said, I went by the guidelines of Congress. You people clean up this mess, we'll adjudicate it for you. But you haven't. So I'm left with what you gave me. So I can pick and arrange. And when they look at all the judges across the country, they're all together. They Democrat, Republican, they go, this is where we see these things are at. So what are you all upset about?
This is the industry standard.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think they were looking for her to have a Kamala Harris moment, where her neck started turning, angry, the angry black woman can be.
They were trying to turn her into Marsha Warfield.
Oh.
You remember Marsha?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
I love Marsha. She would have been a great Supreme Court justice.
Oh, yeah. Yes. So now, I'm about to go off script. So before you
There's a script? I didn't know there was a script.
Yeah, there's a little script that we have to go by because I had to, be in line with my producer. So before I go off script and have him start screaming explicits, and everybody think that it's you, Sandy, we're going to take a quick break. I am with comedian Sandy Hackett. I'm Vincent Squire, and this is What You Gotta Say, and we'll be back in 60 seconds.
Your small business struggled through the pandemic to stay afloat. You need more exposure. Radio and printed ads are good for pet liners. Television commercials are overpriced. Social media ads start cheap, end up expenses. You need an ad team that can get you multimedia exposure. You need MyTV. MyTV will develop a commercial tailored to your business. To get your maximum sales, contact sales@theratemytv.church. Your small business.
Okay, welcome back. I'm Vincent Squire. I'm with comedian Sandy Hackett. Tell you, the best thing about this show is what happens during the break. Now, okay. Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi. She was asked, should Justice Thomas recuse himself? I mean, after all, they're finding more and more stuff leading to her being the organizer of this January 6th attack. Justice Thomas' wife. being the organizer, and she did admit to financing it, this January 6th attack, than everything before. Not to mention, she was calling, just about everybody she could, the attorney general, the White House administration. I mean, the chief of staff. She was calling everybody because she believed that the election, the most televised and watched election in our nation's history, was a sham, and it was stolen from 45. So the reporter asked her, with the January 6th investigation going on and everything that's coming up and leading to a heck of a lot of Trumpism, should he recuse himself? Well, being Nancy Pelosi and never saying a bad word about anybody, she said her response was, in reference to Justice Clarence Thomas, he should have never been appointed. Oh, classic.
And that's interesting, because is she going back to his record, or is she going back to the whole Anita Hill thing?
Both.
Well, but never be appointed has to go back to Anita Hill, because we don't know what his record is going to be from that point forward.
Well,
right. So if you go back to Anita Hill and that whole thing, and I'm sure you have a lot of younger viewers that don't even remember any of that stuff, but in today's world of the Me Too movement, that was very heinous stuff. However, we went through this with Brett Kavanaugh, and somehow he got through anyway on a very partisan ticket. So, and the fact that Nancy said that is great. And I'm going to say something with you that you may or may not, that you may disagree with. And it's Ginny Thomas, as an American, has every right to her opinion, even if I disagree with it 100%. Mm-hmm. Difference here is that because she is married to Clarence Thomas, and because a Chief Justice is her husband, he should recuse himself. That should be fait accompli. She should just go, oh, I believe this, so you have to recuse yourself. And then that's the way it is. You go, I don't like what she said, and I don't like what she believes. But once he recuses himself, then we go, okay, that's the way the system works. But she didn't, and he thinks I don't need to. So that is wrong. And then as far as Ginny Thomas, I didn't know much about her. I wasn't very much informed until all this came out. I had no idea she was white, and that Clarence Thomas was married to a white woman. But here's my personal point of view about it.
Yeah. Hold on, Sandy, let's see your shock face. She's white?
Well, and I just want to say Clarence Thomas could have done better. But but I want to say that because she believes in what she believes, she should go over to Russia, and they could put a big Z on her and send her into Ukraine.
They could ride her as a tank.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did that come through that way?
Okay. Now, you said that I may disagree with you. All right. I agree with you. I agree that everybody has that constitutional right of freedom of speech. Okay. That being said, because if it wasn't for freedom of speech, I would not be here today. I would not be able to broadcast or talk or anything or voice my opinion or my worldview the way I see it. That being said, she's got that. However, my father told me just because you can say anything doesn't mean that you should say everything. All right? I mean, bottom line, or my grandfather used to quote Abraham Lincoln, and he said, you know what? A wise man is silent and thought of as a fool than to open his mouth and remove all doubt. Every time you turn around and you find out that the wife of the justice of the highest court in our land has these crazy, conspiracy theories and ideas, or belief that, the power that she has, which she doesn't have, the power that she has over her husband, entitles her to change the course of history or our most sacred part of our democracy. It's absolutely crazy. And it proves to me that one, she is a psycho, and two, her husband's whipped. Because any man, I mean, look, don't get me wrong. My wife has a lot of influence on a lot of different things. Clothes I wear, food I eat, the people I talk to, sometimes even my conduct and comments. A lot of influence because I respect her opinion. Yet there are certain points where I draw the line and simply saying, listen, I hear what you're saying. I hear you. However, I'm not going to do that. He has proven that, you know what? He can't handle his woman. He had more comments for Anita Hill. He showed more backbone when he was going on over his underlings than he does with his own wife. He should simply say, look, woman, this is my job. This is what I do. And there's a level of representation that you should have. Sit down and bake some cookies. Now, that may be chauvinistic or, you know what? But you know what? I think that at some point in time, some men need to tell certain women who are incredibly headstrong that you need to sit down. Bottom line. I mean, I can't imagine the influence of the man who is making life and death decisions and policies and is supposed to be upholding our Constitution being influenced by a woman who's telling him, you know, to do what's fundamentally wrong. To the point where, you know what, how poor his record is? Yeah, Nancy was right. Look at his record. He shouldn't have been nominated. I don't care if he is a black man. There's a big difference between being a black man that has some substance, some knowledge, who is looking to do something right, than just being elected to a position just because you're black. That was the biggest problem that we had with affirmative action. They would hire these people of color who had no ability or proclivity to actually do the job. That's my take on him. Now,
go ahead.
Now, for all those people that I'm making angry talking about a black man, and let's face it, black America, most of y'all didn't like him anyway. That's why most black people are saying he need to recuse himself. Go ahead.
No, we're allowed to talk, but then you have other situations. You had, like, what was her name in the White House, the senior advisor? I can never remember that.
Condoleezza?
No, to 45, the one who lied every day and invented alternate facts.
Oh, yeah, her. Yeah, they got rid of her quick.
So she works for the president of the United States. She's a senior advisor, but her husband is on the other side, you know, disagreeing with her every day. And he's not telling her what to do. He's just going, I think what you do and who you do it for is wrong, you know, and we don't know with our vice president, you know, her husband could be telling her things. So there can be role reversals in this, but we don't see, you know, Doug Emhoff telling our vice president, oh my God, my brain goes somewhere.
Oh, the woman was Kellyanne Conway.
You call her whatever you want. You know, and not only was her husband against her, her daughter's coming out against her, you know, and then they had to go repair that whole relationship. And I can only imagine what it's like to be inside that house going, well, you think what Trump said is the gospel, and George Conway's going, I couldn't be more against him and what he stands for. And how do you have that job? I mean, look, I loved in the old days when Clinton was president and you had, who was the Republican and the Democrat that got married, but their philosophicals were political.
Carmel. Yeah, what's his name? The guy that looks like a puppet. You know?
And I am here to advise the president we should not be eating frogs' legs.
Yeah.
James Carville.
James Carville, yes.
And what was his wife's name?
I forget her, but those two were polar opposites too.
They were polar opposites, but they weren't about supporting the lies. They
Right.
just were on opposite side of, hey, I think there should be more taxes. I think there should be less. I think we should have this. I think we should have that. And that's fine. And that's when we respectfully disagree with our spouses or the other people in our life. But when you go, no, it's okay that guy lies and I support his bullshit. It's not right. And Nancy's, look, whether or not it's too late not to take him away, but honestly, he has to recuse himself, and he isn't. And if he isn't that kind of person to go, you know what, I got this totally wrong, and I will recuse myself on anything that has any look of impropriety.
Well, one thing that I think he truly needs to step down. I mean, really needs to step down. I think he's been a Republican puppet way too long. I think that, at some point in time, he has to remember why he got into law and the position that he holds. And if you're not taking that job seriously with a level of honor, rather than being the puppet of the politicians so that you can pass judgment or lend favor to their friends who are in the highest court of the land, then what good are you to the people? Who the heck are you serving? And it's not like, the Republicans can actually take that position away from him if he disagrees with them. He's got it for life. I mean, come on. Do you really? How long are you going to kiss everybody up there behind because you're the token black? Cut it out. Be a man.
I'm with you. But I still want to see a big Z on his wife. And that's not my style of humor, and I don't like to besmirch people, but I look at her and I go, it'd be one thing if there was evidence, and maybe in some way we could, you could say, well, there was evidence of impropriety in the election, but you have none. And for all these people that wanted to come forward and say, oh, I've got the evidence here, I've got the crack, and you don't have shit. The My Pillow guy, I'm going to show up I'm going to be there with all this evidence. You won't believe, by Thanksgiving, by Christmas, by New Year's, by Valentine's Day, by Easter, by Martin Luther King, by nothing. I bet you can't even sleep on this pillow.
He's got more predictions than that guy who was predicting the end of the world. What's his name? Haggy?
Yeah, they should take the pillow. He should take the pillow and smother himself.
Maybe his housekeeper will do a world a favor. But anyway, okay. So today on ABC News, the production team of the Oscars and the producer Will Packard, he discussed in detail what a lot of people didn't see behind the stage. First of all, the big question that Wanda Sykes had was, why was Will Smith allowed to stay there after that act? Well, he expressed that during the event of it, and after he was slapped, of course, at the Oscars, they have police officers there. The LA police was right there. And during the commercial break, they were saying to Chris Rock, if we can take him out right now, we're going to take him out, we're going to have him arrested. You can come in and press charges right after the show. Chris Rock said, no, don't do that. No, it's okay. No, I'm not pressing charges. No, don't remove him. Can you believe Chris Rock?
You mean, do I believe that he said, don't take him out? Don't arrest him?
Yes.
Well, everybody said that. There's nobody that said Chris Rock said arrest him. Everybody has said, have you heard anything to the contrary? Everybody has said Chris Rock says, I'm not filing charges.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And not even remove him. But, he said something that was really important. Well, two things. He said that slap and Will Smith's action, because there was so much energy about this year's Oscar. The nominees, the diversification, the singing, the celebration, the movies themselves were actually, pretty good, and everybody was all abuzz. The it was just incredible to say that the Oscars were back, and it was a whole different change because the Oscars usually were boring, but this had a lot of excitement in it. But when Will Smith's act and actions, and then screaming out, keep my wife's name out of your effing mouth, you know, he said that it was like somebody poured concrete over the entire event. It just sucked the life out of everybody, and
Who
they
said
couldn't
that,
get it.
Chris?
No, Will Packer. He also stated, what, he was hoping, that Will Smith would have got up there and apologized to Chris Rock and everybody, once he won. He was waiting for him to make it better. No, Chris did like 45. I mean, Will Smith did like 45, and he just doubled down on it. Oh, well, I feel like I'm a protective dad and you protect your family and I'm being crazy. Like, no, 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 no. Richard Williams, would do anything to protect his children, but protect them from harm. I think every parent wants to give their children some level of dexterity, or not being so thin-skinned that what people say, can really ruin your whole life.
Well, I'm not sure what you're looking for from me,
but whatever you want.
I believe that Chris said, I don't want to file charges. And he said at the moment, he may change. And they said, you have time on this. If you don't want to do it now, he may still be in shock from that. We don't know. Maybe he didn't want to, he thought, well, if he does that, I got to go file a report. I don't get to go to the parties. I become he just was thinking at the moment, I don't care to. So that's fine. That's Chris's choice. He was the victim there. What Will did was wrong. And for all of us, and I mean everybody that has an opinion and writes about it and stuff like that, there are several things involved here. One, Chris is a victim. He got hit. He gets to make that choice unless the DA's office decides to, we've got all this tape, we can file charges anyway. So that's one thing. Number two, the Academy is going to take some action. They're going to meet and take some action. We don't know what that is, what their disciplinary, what they're entitled to do as far as discipline goes or not. Also, we, the people that all have an opinion, the way we act on this and execute our opinion is we either stay and watch Will Smith and continue to watch his movies and endorse what he does and enjoy him as an actor, or we don't go to see his stuff. And in the case of Chris, we're sympathetic and we go to see him and he makes us laugh and we hope he'll talk about it. And he said, I'm not prepared to talk about that yet, so I won't. So, and there are many other things as this stuff comes out about Will and the other things going on and his relationship with Jada, but that's all personal family stuff. We all have personal family stuff. And to anybody that wants to tell me about mine, I go, butt out. I'll take care of my life. You take care of yours and we'll be good. So I think what Will did was unfortunate. It was a mistake. I think he's going to pay some price for it in some way. I can't, I'm a Will Smith fan. I like him. I think he's a very talented actor. I've enjoyed his movies, some a lot more than others. And honestly, as a comedian, when you're looking for the jokes, I go, well, when he smacked Chris Rock and he didn't lay him out, that's why he didn't get the Oscar as Muhammad Ali.
Yeah. Well,
if you knocked him out, we said, you know what, we made a mistake. We should have given him the Oscar, for Ali. But is that a great joke? No, it's an okay joke. Here's another joke I was thinking of. I said, in Los Angeles, and you're back east, so you don't see this. We've got a big water problem out here. We don't have enough water. We've got a big drought. So what everybody thinks they saw is not what happened. Really what happened is Chris Rock said, hey, can I get a glass of water? And Will Smith went up there and smacked him because there's a drought and you can't just get a glass of water, because you're Chris Rock. So it's ridiculousness. And it's not that it's funny or not funny or that I'm making light of the situation. Chris was a victim. Will made a mistake. Can we forgive him? Yeah, at some point, you got to forgive him. If Chris forgives him at some point, or if he never talks to me again, that's Chris's thing. And as for the rest of us, do we watch a Will Smith movie or not watch a Will Smith movie? Will I not put on Independence Day because Will Smith is in it and I'll never watch it again? Or I go, yeah, that's the guy that made a terrible mistake, but here he is in this performance, which is quite wonderful and very entertaining. And, that's the way it is.
Well, look, I got to say, I loved him in 6 Degrees of Separation. I thought he was absolutely great. I loved Independence Day. A couple of them, no. I mean, he was great. He was in Bad Boys 1, 2 was a little bit boring. But I gotta say this, and yeah, he has personal problems like everybody else. He's a man, just like everybody else. And every man has his actual breaking point. But one thing I noticed about a lot of men is that he was laughing until, he looked at Jada's expression. Then he went Jekyll and Hyde. Now, if that is that a reason, I mean, you're a comedian. Have you said some jokes about some people's wives that wasn't, that may be borderline distasteful?
I did today, and it's normally not my thing to say that about Ginny Thomas, that they should put a Z on her. But, I find her so offensive on so many levels, and that her husband, look, if her husband just said, hey, that's how my wife believes, and so on these issues, I'm going to recuse myself. Then I go, that's fine. Then I'm fine with that. But that's not my style of comedy, to go picking on people or say that people are anything. I try to be a little headier than that and ahead of myself. But sometimes you just got to look and go, that's just terrible for the wife of the spouse of a Supreme Court justice to be so polar opposite to what's going on in the world, to be part of and think that, there was this was fraudulent and that the ballot boxes were, and to believe the big lie and all this stuff has been debunked. Not like by one person said it didn't happen. 60 courts, 60, and many of them Republican judges that said, no.
Many of them were installed by Trump.
Yes, and they didn't even decide on a case. They said, okay, you presented and we've seen all these things where the spelling was wrong, this was wrong. You filed this in the wrong court. I mean, how do you do that? If you're an attorney and you go, well, this should have been filed in Detroit, but you filed it in Washington, D.C. with all Detroit stuff. And go, how fucking stupid are you? You can't do stuff like that. And when you say, the Kraken's coming out and we've got all this evidence, and the judge goes, great, I'll look at evidence. I'm a court. That's what I do. I'll look at evidence. Where is it? Well, I don't have it now. Case dismissed. How do you say I don't have, I have all this evidence, but not here? Well, today was the day you were supposed to bring the evidence. What were you thinking?
What attorney doesn't bring the evidence on his day in court? I mean,
I'm really hungry. I'd like to have a sandwich. Oh, really? What are you going to eat? Well, I didn't bring lunch. I forgot to bring lunch. After the show, Vincent, would you like a ride home? Yeah. Where are you parked? Oh, I forgot my car. How stupid is this?
Stupid. Yes.
Ginny Thomas is a blight on the American culture to believe stuff, weeks after. Had it been the next day, she goes, hey, there's a possibility that this stuff didn't go down right. But, 64 cases later,
Sandy, be careful. Clarence Thomas may be knocking on your door to slap the Will Smith out of you.
Somehow, I don't see Clarence Thomas slapping anything out of anybody.
So, Sandy, where can people find you?
Wow. I'm home taking care of the dog. My wife is going to the Grammys.
professionally.
No, but my wife is going to the Grammys. She's going to the Grammys. She's got a music publishing company called LDM Publishing. And I've got my show, Sandy Hackett's Rat Pack Show, that tours later this year as the COVID unwinds, hopefully, and we start to get some dates. I'm doing some stand-up dates. I have a show about my father I wrote, and we lost our whole touring schedule with COVID like everybody else. So, the dates are coming back in, dripping in and doing stuff like this. Someone sees me and says, hey, will you come talk? I also do public speaking, and I did a TEDx talk not long ago. It's up on YouTube. So, but I'm also 65 going, I've watched so many of my friends, unceremoniously pass away. Gary Shandling and Bob Saget, Louis Anderson. And, some of these guys I knew well. Some of these guys were acquaintances I knew over the years, but Bob Saget was 65. I'm 65. And now they're saying, that he just might have fallen and hit his head. But another guy is saying, hey, the damage to his skull wasn't, he took a fall and hit his head on the headboard. That was padded. The carpet was padded. We don't know what happened. So we don't know what happened with those things. But, as you start to, how old are you, if you don't mind me asking, Vincent?
60.
60. So, we're, as my dad used to say, he'd be on stage. I'm 60 years old. And people say, oh, really? 60 years old? You're not old. You're middle aged. And he said, really? How many people 120. So
what Alan King said, are you kidding me? 35 is middle age.
Right. Exactly. So, if someone sees me here and they want to get a hold of me, contact you, go to sandyhackett.com. I like to work. I like to be out there talking to people. I like to teach. I like to have conversations. I like to make people laugh. I'll do it until the day I lie. Because as my dad said, do something you love, you never work a day in your life.
And I have to agree with your dad because I love this, so it doesn't feel like work. So that's our show for today. I want to thank you
here with you, Vincent.
Thank you so much for being with us. So tune in Monday for Mental Health Monday with the Wright Doctor, Dr. H. Gene Wright Sr. And we're going to talk about some issues. Hard to believe the dexterity where people thought that children are to be seen and not heard, and how much they are actually suffering through the 2 years of pandemic and isolation. I'm Vincent Squire. Thanks for watching us today on Roku, Facebook, YouTube, and Comcast Channel 190. God bless everybody.
Your small business struggled through the pandemic to stay afloat. You need more exposure. Radio and printed ads are good for pet liners. Television commercials are overpriced. Social media ads start cheap, end up expenses. You need an ad team that can get you multimedia exposure. You need MyTV. MyTV will develop a commercial tailored to your business. To get your maximum sales, contact sales@theratemytv.church